All right, just great to get to this point. You know, it's been a long time coming, and we got to still build it, but it's. I hope we're in the home stretch.
Did you visualize snow at this point?
It's New England.
It's been a bad winter. What can I say?
She's our building consultant from the Board of Library Commissioners.
Yeah.
I believe all the trustees are here. So
have a high point. At this point.
Pardon?
Any words that you'd like to take us down?
My hand dries out so bad.
Words of wisdom, I know. Don't ask me. Let me think about it.
I'll get you later.
Okay. Yeah.
You forgot.
Yes, me too. Well, we're going to just take it for a second.
I wish you were.
Do the introduction.
Yeah.
Well, starting at the top of the line is Richard Graves down in front, and his wife Shirley Graves in back. And today the young adult room is being named in their honor. And their children are Hollis here, Linda there, and I'm Brad. And our brother David, who's down in Virginia, couldn't make it today. But we then have several grandchildren. Starting over on the far right is Alex, and then Lena, and behind Lena is Daniel. And we've got several missing grandchildren, but we won't go through those names. And then we have Chris and Mary.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Okay.
Go.
Good morning. My name is Gary Breer, and I am on the building committee for the library project, and it is just so heartening to see such a large crowd here this morning. Let me just say we're only going to try to focus on pictures here this morning, get a number of key photos, and then we'll be moving across the street to the chapel of the First Congregational Church. That's the steeple right there, so we don't have very far to go. And that's where the speaking program will take place this morning. I would like to quickly recognize two of our legislators, Senator Stan Rosenberg, who's here, and Representative Stephen Kulik. Each of them will have an opportunity to speak at the chapel, so we look forward to that, but I wanted to make sure to recognize them, our municipal leaders, our select board, and all of the folks who are friends and trustees of the library. It is just a wonderful turnout here this morning, and we really appreciate everyone coming out here in the cold. We are going to try to keep the photo piece fairly short so that we're not here in the cold very long, and we can enjoy refreshments and some comments back at the chapel. So again, thank you all for coming out and braving the weather today. We'd like to start with a first photo that is a number of the leadership folks who have been involved. Our librarian, Sharon Sherry, Marilyn Munn, Lauren Starr from the building committee, Chris from the president of the Friends, the representative of the Board of Library Commissioners is Ann or Joe here today, Phil O'Brien and Stu Roberts, our architects, Tony Legere and Tom Kelly, our select board, Steve Solomon and Lester Fontaine from Fontaine Brothers, our contractor, and Senator Stan Rosenberg and Steve Kulik. So if you'll come up, that list of folks, and we'll do the photos right here. Shovels, everyone.
Yes, sure. That should be more worn out than on your head.
I'm tall.
The one in the hat. No, the second one in the hat.
Thank you.
Just looking straight out.
Think about hot coffee.
Yeah, really.
Just make believe. I'm okay without hats. Two things I don't do, windows and hats.
Munn, Lauren Starr, Rich Morse, Peter Lacey, Donna McKimmey, Shirley Graves, Shirley Austin, Ann Dorr, Jay, and Sharon Sherry. Sharon, you're in this one again.
Sorry.
Very good. Okay, Marilyn, throw the snow at whoever you want to.
Throw it at him.
There you go.
Yep, building committee.
Here, you get a shovel.
There you go.
Squeeze in a little bit.
Get it a little more.
And the final photo is our friends in Capital Campaign. Jay, the chair of the Capital Campaign, Chris, Deb McLean, Lucy Allman, Rick Dillon, Dan McKenna, Peter DeGarin, Marilyn Munn, Lauren Starr. There's some names I keep reading here, Lauren. Sandy Ballounis, Moira, and Eileen, and Shirley, Gail, Joan Howe, Sherry Woods, Mary Ann, and Ingrid.
And who are these people, Gary?
Crowd.
Friends of the Library Capital Campaign.
I think Bruce is the guy that Oops, sorry.
Got a lot of people here. Good.
It is, again, so heartwarming to see the number of people who have come out for this event today. It is truly a historic event for the town of Sunderland, and we appreciate everyone who's here to participate in it. First, let me welcome you to this building. In one of my other hats, I'm also the moderator of the First Congregational Church, which is the structure next door, and this has been the chapel for that church for more than a century, since about the 1830s. So we welcome you to this building. I welcome you on behalf of the First Congregational Church, and then I also welcome you on behalf of the Library Building Committee. The speaking program today, we've got a couple of different folks who would like to make some comments. Some local folks, representatives from the Board of the Library Commissioners, and then from our legislative delegation. And so I will try to move along quickly so that we can hear from each one of those. Jack Kennedy once said that victory has 1,000 fathers. Well, if the paternity of this particular project is somewhat ambiguous, then the maternity of this project is much more clear. And let me introduce one of our champion, our leader, the person who has helped us, cajoled us, encouraged us all along the way, Lauren Stock.
It's taken us a very long time to get here to this groundbreaking, so I think you can imagine how excited we all are, and I think we all as a community are, to finally be breaking ground on the new Sunderland Public Library. This is the culmination of a very long collaboration. It's been a major effort by many, many people, and I want to talk a little bit about the groups that have worked on this and the contribution they've made to the project. First of all, financially, it's a collaboration supported very generously by the town through a major appropriation, but also by a grant from the Board of Library Commissioners for over almost $1.1 million. And I think we're very grateful for that support, and also for the support we regularly receive from the Board of Library Commissioners in terms of running the library and running this project. In addition, there's been a very active capital campaign, and we are so thrilled to have that support of businesses and individuals in the community. It's been very heartwarming to see the outpouring support that we've received, and it's been a major plus for this project. And so all of you here, for those who have participated in the capital campaign, thank you very, very much. The Friends of the Library, the volunteer group that have been dedicated to the library for years and years, have always come through with help, and in this particular project have played a huge role in running a capital campaign and in all their support. And I'd really like to credit the president of the Friends, Chris Pellerin, and for all her hard work, and to all the friends who are also hosting this event today. So we thank them very much. Sharon Sherry, our library director, does such a wonderful job running the library that probably you don't even realize how much effort she puts into administering the building project. And I think that's a credit to her endless enthusiasm and dedication to the town, and also to the staff at the library, to Laura Williams and Kelly Daniels, for letting her spend the time on this project. We're very, very fortunate. We've also collaborated quite a lot with nearly everyone in town. There probably isn't a person at Town Hall that we haven't asked for help in one way or another, and everyone always comes through. I'd like to thank the selectmen, this board that we have now, and also the previous selectmen that we've worked with over the years, Dana Kennan, the town administrator, Chip Thomas, Evan Golan, Bob Ahern, Herb Sanderson. There's not a person who hasn't contributed and helped us through this project. We've been collaborating for what seems like a very long time, probably to them more than us, with our architects, Stuart Robert Associates. They've done a wonderful job designing the building, and have also really been a wonderful group to work with. So I'd like to introduce Stuart Roberts and Phil O'Brien and Angela Kavanaugh, who are here today. And we look forward to our new relationship with Fontaine Brothers. Lester Fontaine is here, and we can't wait to see the big machinery out there doing more than little gold shovels. And finally, I'd like to thank the building committee. We have worked solidly for many years together. There's been almost no turnover on the committee. You have to leave town to get off. And even then, don't really let you go. So I'd like to thank Marilyn Munn, Rich Morse, Liz Sillen, Peter Gagarin, Gary Briere, Dan McKenna, and Christy Anderson for all the work. one more year, and then we'll let you go. And you know, this is just a wonderful event, and I think the only thing that will top it is the opening, which should be about a year from now. So, welcome.
It may be hard to believe, but this project actually began in the late 1980s with the vision of our library trustees. And I'd now like to introduce one of the holders of that vision, Marilyn Munn.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Lauren. I do have a few pieces of paper here, but I have timed this, and it's exactly 5 minutes, which is what we have been given. So Jay, start the clock. I'm going to say very few words about library services in Sunderland, but I can't do that without calling attention to the state agency, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, that has the responsibility to organize, develop, regulate, coordinate, and improve library services throughout the state. Now, how do they carry out that charge? Simply with a lot of planning, and very, very good planning. In October 1992, the board approved the formation of a strategic planning committee that was charged to, number one, analyze the current environment for library service, its strengths and its weaknesses. Two, create a collective vision of future library services for the people of the Commonwealth in the year 2000 and beyond. Three, develop a strategic plan for the future of library services to the people of the Commonwealth. In July 1993, the plan was published. Why the plan at that particular point? Libraries in our society were being challenged by the information explosion. If you think back on what was happening during that little time period. The new world of electronic access to information and the need for lifelong learning and training. Put simply, the library community had to continue to be a cultural, intellectual center, but also provide access to an expanding world of information and to keep pace with changes in information technology. Now, these remarks, for the most part, were gleaned from a report that was published in July 1993, just 10 years ago. And when I reread it recently, it occurred to me that Sunderland represents, in a material as well as a philosophical way, the collective vision of the Mass Board for improving library services. Here we are, breaking ground for a new building, no longer standing alone as a library, as we did 50 years ago, 25 years ago, but connected to a regional system that provides continuing education for staff, loans of books, advice and support when we hit a glitch. We are part of an automated resource network connected to libraries of all types, connected to the globe. Our small operation has kept pace with the incredible changes in library services over the past 10 years. It's been quite a ride. And we had no magic wand to do it. What we have accomplished has been done by the hard work of our trustees. The trustees chose carefully and well when hiring directors, and we widened the circle of library supporters. And we planned also, in fact, we're in the process right now of setting up our next 3-year plan. We were ready for every innovation, opportunity, grant that was being talked about or generated within library circles. And we did the next thing, carefully and very quickly at times, working under tight deadlines. we spent very little time agonizing over what didn't happen, or what if this happens. The last 10 years have been exceptionally busy for our paid staff and for our volunteer staff, I call them. But today, we put that shovel into the ground to continue the long tradition of library service begun in the late 18th century in Sunderland. Our new building will provide much needed space for our children's collection and will provide an activities room, a community room for Sunderland organizations to use with a kitchen facility, a separate room for a young adult collection, a periodical area with a coffee cart, a family reading nook, wonderful technology, a book processing space, and more workspace and elbow room for our staff. We will have a fully accessible library. The doors will be open to all. And the wonderful thing is libraries are institutions that don't want to know how young you are, how old you are. All ages are welcome. There's no dress code, no admission price, no educational requirements. If our doors are open, you are welcome. Thank you.
Said that money follows good ideas. Marilyn and the trustees had good ideas, and somehow the money needed to be brought together to be able to make this happen. And for the next few people, there's each of them has contributed significantly to the financial requirements to make this project happen. Let me introduce Jay Bowerman, the chair of our capital campaign, and he'll make some additional remarks.
Thank you, Gary. And you did well, Marilyn. You had seconds to spare. I hope I can do it as well. My name is Jay Bowerman, and I'm a trustee. I'm a board member of the Friends and chair of the Friends Capital Campaign Committee. I couldn't be happier today because we are witnessing two dreams come true. The first, obviously, is the breaking of the ground for the new Sunderland Public Library, and the second is the success of the Friends Capital Campaign. It was over a year ago and a month that we kicked off the Capital Campaign with the slogan, $100,000 for the next 100 years. Today I am pleased to announce that the campaign total is $170,000 in pledges and donations. Of this amount, we have $158,000 in hand. I want to thank the over 25 businesses and over 175 community donors, contributors who made this possible. Today's significance is greater than the ritual of groundbreaking and a successful capital campaign. This historic occasion continues a centuries-old local tradition of local community support for the library and library support for the local community. The local community support has manifested itself in today's groundbreaking, and the library support can be seen in the plans for a structure of lasting beauty, utility, and efficiency with lower maintenance costs. So in the present moment, as we celebrate the groundbreaking, we honor the past library traditions and look forward to a bright future for the library and the community it serves. On behalf of myself and the members of the Capital Campaign, the trustees, and the Friends, I want to thank the First Congregational Church for hosting us this morning, and each and every one of the many people who have, in so many ways, large and small, made today possible and allowed us to witness these two dreams come true. Now I'm very happy to introduce Liz Sillen, who is a member of the Building Committee and a key person on the Friends Capital Campaign Committee. Liz has a special announcement.
heart. Major donors to our campaign were given the opportunity to name spaces in the library as a way of recognizing their financial support, as well as a way to honor their families and who've long been supporters of and believers in our library and library services. We are very pleased to announce that we are going to have 4 named spaces in our new library. The children's room, which is going to be a much larger space than our current one, is an important space that we know is going to be busy and filled with kids and excitement of wonderful learning opportunities. And that's going to be named by longtime library supporter Frances Clark and her daughter Helen Clark. Have for many years been very quick to support the town in many ways and in very significant ways. And we so much thank Frances and Helen Clark for their great generosity and their continued support. And we're happy to announce that the children's room will bear the name that they choose. The reference area will be named in memory of Jonathan Hubbard, son of Bill and Eleanor Hubbard. We thank the Hubbards for their early and very vocal support for the library project. When news of their donation was published in the paper, others who wanted to remember Jonathan in a meaningful way stepped forward to donate in his honor. The reference materials represent, I think, another core part of what a library is all about, and we hope Jonathan is pleased to know that his family has chosen this lasting memorial in his honor. Thanks. Is a place for our patrons to retreat and enjoy the essence of being in a library, a place to sit and read quietly, something that we know our current library does not offer. We are so thankful to Russ and Blake Lane for their donation to the capital campaign. The Lanes, like all of our donors, have been stalwart supporters of the library. They always ask good questions, and we're always grateful that they've asked them because they usually need it to be asked. We all very much look forward to the day when we can go into the library, go into the family nook, sit back with a good book, and put our feet up. We're going to be allowed to put our feet up? In the Lane family reading nook. And last, but certainly not least, we think we have sort of a surprise announcement regarding the naming of the young adult room. We are very excited that our new library is going to have a young adult room. This is going to be the first time we will have a space that's entirely devoted to our teens. And it's going to include reading materials, comfortable chairs, computers. We hope it's going to be the kind of positive space that our teens need in town and currently don't have to congregate. And we hope that that will work. And when David, Brad, Linda, and Hollis Graves, children of Dick and Shirley Graves, and cousins of the Graves family, after whom our current library is named, wanted to honor their parents, and especially Shirley, for her many years, many years of service to the library, as well as her many years of devotion of the teaching of children and teens, they knew immediately that the young adult room needed to bear the Graves family name. We are very pleased to announce that the young adult room will be named after Shirley and Richard Graves, thanks to the very, very generous support of David Graves, Brad Graves, Linda Pearson, and Hollis Graves.
that part better than crying the whole time. Thank you all for those contributions. So many of you throughout the room have contributed to this dream, and we appreciate that. I'd now like to welcome Tony Legere, one of the members of the Board of Selectmen. Clearly, our entire community had come together to contribute the town's contribution to this and make the commitment for support that the town did. And I'd like to invite Tony for a few remarks.
Thanks, Gary. When I was asked to speak, I didn't realize I was going to have to follow Liz talking about all these wonderful donations and these room recognitions. So I probably would have come up anyway, though. First off, I'd like to apologize for Tom Feigenkevitz not being able to be here. I'm representing the entire Board of Selectmen today, and Tom is out of town on a trip with one of his about-to-be college-age daughters. So that's an understandable thing. These things happen. These dates are set by colleges. We're not paying attention to what we're doing in Sunderland, I guess. I don't know why not. But it's a great day for Sunderland today. I'm so excited to be here. You know, I know how hard everyone has worked and how difficult it's been to get us to this point for the library, and I'm so excited. I just can't stand it. The people in town have been so great on this. Yeah, we had some pretty spirited debates, and isn't that what New England Town Meeting government is all about? I mean, it's such a great institution. So we had some spirited debates, you know, about a lot of different issues, but as time went by, people came together and they said, we want this library, we want to move forward. And so it's a real credit to the people of Sunderland that our little town, like 4,000 people, our little town could have the vision to look forward for this next, 100 years and say, we want to do something that is a positive benefit for our people and especially our children. It's a real credit to us. One of the things that is really interesting about this, and all the speakers are talking about how we couldn't do it alone and how many people were involved, but I'm really struck by the importance of the state grant. And this state grant that we're getting for $1.1 million, I think really kind of pushed the project over the top. I don't think there's any doubt that our small town, with many, many senior citizens on fixed incomes, that it would be very difficult for our folks to be able to pay the tax rate that would come with a project of this visionary project. But because of the state grant, because of the State Board of Library Commissioners, because of our elected officials who have supported these kinds of grants, especially Stan and Steve, that was the kind of thing that was able to really push us over the top. Our library people worked very, very hard to get that money. They had a great project. The state saw that. And, it's kind of hard to turn down $1.1 million when it's staring you in the eyes. I just got to tell a little anecdote about the day that Lauren showed up at a select board meeting with these $100,000 bars, these candy bars. And I wasn't going to tell this, but I have to tell this. She showed up at the select board meeting, and of course we knew that we had gotten the grant, and she lays 11 of these candy bars out of the cake. It was a really good day. I have to say one thing. I don't mean to put any pressure on Stan and Steve, who have been great supporters of small towns in western Massachusetts. But it is a tough time in the state of Massachusetts. It's a tough time all over the country. We have deficits. We have difficult times. And I think that sometimes folks tend to think of some of these things like this grant program as additional and optional. Well, I don't think it's optional. Maybe we won't be able to fund the thing like we have over the next couple of years, but as we get out of this craziness and straighten out our state and federal budgets, I know we can count on them to help other small towns like Sunderland to provide this kind of support for library services for their kids. And Let's remember, I guess I would say to the citizens of Sunderland, let's remember that when these things come up, that people like Stan and Steve are going to need our support to tell people throughout the state this is an important thing. Let's help the other towns. Let's make sure there's money in the grant program for them when their turn comes. Finally, on behalf of, and I know I only had 5 minutes, I don't think I've taken it. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I want to say congratulations to everyone involved in this project. I know I would leave a lot of people out if I tried to name names, so I'm not going to. But clearly, the Library Building Committee, the Library Board of Trustees, the Friends of the Graves and their capital campaign, and the citizens of Sunderland have worked so hard. It's such a great day, and I can't wait for the ribbon cutting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. As Tony said, we could not have done this without a generous grant from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. And I would like to welcome today the chair of the Board of Library Commissioners, Joe Hopkins, for some comments. Joe.
Well, thank you for this very kind invitation to be here on this special occasion and to offer congratulations on behalf of the Board of Library Commissioners for the efforts, for this collective efforts that everybody has made here, and the persistence and the perseverance that enable you to bring this about. My experience has been showing anywhere from 5 to 10 years for libraries to bring this kind of thing about, in which they had collectively kind of worked so hard that it's just incredible. In fact, when I come to these occasions, I speculate on what is it that drives all these people to spend 5, 7, 10 years of their life going from meeting to meeting and getting frustrated and sometimes a little angry, but then pulling together and finding the cooperation that you have found in this connection. And I have my own ideas of just what drives some of you, and I'd like to speak briefly about them. And one of them I find is self-fulfillment. I am a lover of books, and I couldn't live in a community that doesn't have a good library. And I think that many of you have those same kinds of feelings. I also feel that there is this joy and responsibilities of parenthood. I am a father of 5 and a grandfather of 16. And I can tell you that in terms of books and taking them to the libraries and seeing them get their library cards, just the joy that you can see in their faces is enough reward. But we also know that it's essential for our children to learn how to read and how to read well. And this is what your public library provides you. And I also feel that there is this idea of the love of country for its democratic values, because libraries are the bastion of information that you need in a democracy to make decisions as adults that you have to make. Our founding fathers really were quite positive about this, particularly Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. In fact, I just finished reading a biography of John Adams, and I was interested in the interaction between Adams and Jefferson. Jefferson and Adams were both lovers of books and libraries, and I have really extensive collections. But they didn't get along together when Adams was president and Jefferson was vice president. However, when Jefferson donated his books to found the Library of Congress, John Adams, as president, presented the budget to support that. And you can see what the Library of Congress has done for this country today. And I'd like to make another comment about John Adams, because he wrote the state constitution for Massachusetts. It's the oldest state constitution in the country. And in it, he pointed out to legislators that they have an obligation to support and encourage the use of literature, and the public institutions that provide for that. So there is, in our Constitution, a mandate on behalf of legislators, and I don't like to single them out as such, to support libraries. There is also the idea of pride in the community. A community center, as Marilyn has pointed out, is to just what it means to come to the library, to sit and enjoy collectively or individually all the resources that they provide. It is a great sense of pride that you have when you have that kind of library in the community. And also there is in the pride in what you have accomplished. You're focused on a goal, you enlisted the community and supported for this. And so I think there's an internal pride that you have, that there's something you have done that you can look at and say, gee, I had a part in that. And so I have a sense of pride in what has been accomplished. Finally, I want to just speak to the idea of the work of the legislators, such as Senator Rosenberg and Representative Kulik. They made this all possible. In 1990, the library construction program was promoted and provided for. And since that time, $208 million in grants have been given to libraries for their planning and for their construction. And this year, 18 projects representing $36.5 million, including your own, has been awarded to the libraries in Massachusetts. Next year, we have a waiting list of 22 libraries for $41.5 million. Given the current circumstances of the state, I'm not quite sure just how this is going to play out. But what you can see is the investment that people are willing to make throughout the state for the libraries in this state. And this also happens nationally. They've always talked about the demise of the library because of computer technology and et cetera. But when I look at the national figures and the bond issues that have been issued by various states, library buildings are still going very successfully and very rewardingly for all the people that are involved. So with that, I thank you very much for all of you for the kind words that you said about the commission. It's very nice to have that kind of feedback that we get from you. And I look forward to your dedication of your library, hopefully in a year from now, and that's when you see that building going up and what is accomplished. I know many of you will walk out to the site and be the sort of the clerk of the works, you know, for the site. But I'm sure the contractor would love to hear from you. But anyway, we'll bring joy to your heart, and thank you very much for being able to come here.
Thank you very much, Joe. We are very grateful for the support from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. Important programs like the Board of Library Commissioners grants don't just happen. It takes a lot of support, and it requires a vision and support from a legislative delegation that recognizes how valuable libraries are. We are very fortunate here in Sunderland to have two legislators who have a set of values that both support us and inspire us. Roy Disney once said that when values are clear, the decisions are easy. And these folks face, Stan Rosenberg and Steve Kulik face very difficult decisions in these difficult times. And it is very important for us to recognize and appreciate and value the set of values that they bring, which supported this program and which support us every day. I'd like to welcome Stan Rosenberg and Steve Kulik for their comments.
sit there listening to people making so eloquently the points you had planned. Each one of the speeches that you've heard so far have been just absolutely terrific, and each one struck a different theme that I think together create the whole message of this morning and this activity, and I just congratulate each of you. I don't know if you coordinated your speeches or what. There was so little duplication, and yet each one had a very unique, special message. And so I just want to say about all of that, I agree with everything you said. Therefore, I assume I'll have your vote. But now, since everything good has already been said, I am left with no choice but to tell you a joke. And I actually found this joke a while ago because I was planning to go to another one of these library celebrations, and I decided I wanted to try to find a library story or joke. So I went on the internet. And I hunted, your library? I hunted in my library, of course. And I hunted for a joke, and I found two. And I chose one. And I wish you would turn that camera off.
How much?
Because I could afford to lose just about this number of votes. But I don't think I can afford to lose the number of votes I'm going to lose after I tell this joke if the whole town sees it. But it turned out that one day the librarian was sitting at her desk. It was early in the morning, and she was sitting at her desk doing some paperwork, and all of a sudden felt a presence, and she looked up, and there was standing a 6-foot-tall chicken. And she was really quite startled by this, and being polite as librarians are, she said, "May I help you?" And the chicken said, "Bark." Bark. The librarian was quite startled by all of this. She got up, she went to the stacks, and she picked out 4 books, brought them back, gave them to the chicken. The chicken put 2 under one arm, 2 under the other arm, turned around, walked out, walked down the stairs, across the street, across the meadow, into the forest. The next day, the librarian's sitting at the desk again, doing her work, looks up, and who's there but the chicken? Takes the books from under the arm, puts them down on the table, and says, "Bark, bark, bark, bark." Gets up, picks out 4 more books from the stack, brings them back, 2 under this wing, 2 under this wing, out the door. Next day, the same thing happens. She says, as she goes to the stacks to get the book, she says, "This time I'm following this chicken. I got to find out what's going on here." So she gives the chicken the books, 2 under one wing, 2 under the other wing, turns around, goes out the door, down the stairs. The librarian peeks out the door, sees it's going across the street, comes out, and now starts to follow and sees the chicken go across the meadow into the forest and to the edge of a pond in the forest. Lays the books out, one next to the other, opens each to the first page, and waits. And in about 2 minutes, a frog jumps out of the pond onto a lily pad, takes a look at the first book, and says, "Read it." Librarians don't have a sense of humor. So again, congratulations to everyone in this community for the wonderful work that you've done, the patient and careful work to bring this about. Thanks to the Board of Library Commissioners for your great work in keeping this program alive and making sure that communities will build buildings that will last the next 100 years and will continue to be centers of community activity and learning and thinking. Congratulations to the 4 families whose names will adorn parts of this library, and this whole process, this whole idea of bringing the whole community together and putting their nickels and dimes and dollars and quarters into the jar, and special gifts from families and people who are able to do so, make possible a really terrific opportunity. And this happens only once in 100 years or so, and you're all part of making this piece of history in the town. And it's just really heartwarming and terrific. And we will look forward to being at the ribbon cutting, and I hope that at that point I might find a third joke.
The internet consistently amazes me, but I'm now concerned that there's a libraryjokes.com. Our state representative, who is no chicken, Steve Hughes.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be with you for this celebration today. And as the very last speaker on the program, I could say what Stan said, that what everyone else said, I agree with. And I can say I agree with everything Stan said, except for the joke. No joke. But really, it's great to be here. I've been your state representative now for about 10 years. And in 1993, when I was running for office, one of the first things I heard about in Sunderland was, we need this library. And I think one of the first meetings I went to was over in the library to discuss what can happen under the library grant program. And I've watched so many of you work so hard for so many years that to come here and celebrate this event is so heartwarming to me and to both of us as legislators, because we can only help you make these things reality. We can help provide the funding for the program. We can work with the Board of Library Commissioners, who do a great job of responding to these kinds of projects in small towns. I think we've really seen an extra effort on your part, Joe, and the board over the last few years, and I appreciate that very, very much. But it's the incredible effort that you've all put in, the families that have donated, the individuals who have donated, and all of the citizens who are part of this because the town stepped forward. And this town, it's the kind of project that really brings the town together as a community. We've heard that many times. I'm very heartened to see so many young people here, because this is an investment in your future. And a library is, I think, the one community institution in any town where everyone can come together, everyone in a diverse community. Your schools, you mostly see the kids and the parents. In church, maybe you see a more broad community coming together. But in a library, as Marilyn said so eloquently, it's open to everyone, free of charge, to live your dreams, to use the resources. And this is going to be an incredible resource for Sunderland for many, many years to come. I'm just happy to be here to congratulate each and every one of you who've had a part in it, and I look forward to coming back in a year and celebrating its opening. Thanks very much.
That's our program today. Thank you all so much for your contribution and for your presence. Let me just tell the members of the press who are here, we do have a press release now that you've taken all your notes. We do have a press release that you can take along. Deb McLean, where is Deb? In the back, has that available for you. Thank you all very much for attending today.